very interesting here to watch Akai once again. But more than that, we're seeing like King getting adapted to the new role here as XP lane. You know, guys, I was talking to some content creators yesterday, and we were talking about like this role swap that happens sometimes with some players, and most of them said that there is some changes that is getting easier than the other ones. For example, when you move from a side to another side, theoretically it's easier when you move for example for a roaming to a side, for a jungler to a side, for example, because the jungler have to worry about like all the clear path. You have to think about the ganks, you have to think about like the game and the high tempo and the low tempo here, and the sides like okay, you have to worry about your side, you have to have a strong landing phase, you know, you have to know the time exactly to roaming to guarantee this these resources and this advantage for your team, you know. So maybe like we are talking about King's example here, from jungler to XP, maybe he needs a little more time to grow more and get more knowledge about like this role swap thing.
I feel like moving from jungles and roams in general, they have to pay attention to a lot that's going on in the map. They need to understand what lanes are being pushed, where they have weaknesses, when the turtle's going to be up, who needs support and stuff like that. And there's so much for them to keep track of that I feel like on some ways it can be a little easier moving to that side lane from there. But also, when you're especially XP lane, it's one of those roles where you have to take that ego, you have to set it down, you have to be very patient. I know you want to 1v1 them, you really feel like you can push on there, but does your team need that push? Does your team need you to get that kill? And that's something that a lot of those side lanes really need to understand sometimes when that transition comes up there. We can try to go ahead and force this push, we can try to force this flicker, or we can wait, make sure that I have all of my spells, especially as an XP laner, for that first objective, to make sure that I'm going to be in place and being able to get that push, which I feel like XP lanes have such a huge such a huge responsibility at some of those first objectives of setting the tone, getting the sets, pushing the objectives there. A very standard start for both of these teams, whether it comes to bans or the picks out there as well, with the exception of one ban on the side of DreamMax. I want to say a little bit of a respect ban there for Fanboy.
Yes, they are banning out that chip. They knew in the hands of Fanboy it is a hard thing for them to go against, for sure. The fact that he can get his whole team around just as quickly and get everyone out of there. They're picking up the Kufra here. No, go ahead.
Because I was thinking about Kalia, you know? I was about to talk about like, okay, they banned Chip, the Kalia, it's open. But now once again, Fanboy is surprising us, bringing something, okay, it's out of the box. Maybe we can talk about like how far of the box is jumping here from like bringing a Kufra, bringing a Belleric, for example. They're not in the meta, we know that, but are they so off the meta? Are they so far from the meta to not to be considerate of bringing here, like to be picked, to be chosen here by the other teams? But now we're seeing Glue once again here being chosen by a DreamMax. Another thing that I want to talk about with you guys is Private said something that is really nice, that sometimes the XP laner has to like take down the ego, take down like this will to be a protagonist, for example, just to help the team, you know. And I think that I have the impression, but I cannot say this, I don't want to be early, but yesterday we saw King playing with the Suyo and with the Claude in XP lane, you know. We both know that they are heroes that needs resources, that needs a farm, that needs damage to cause and impact in a good way for the team, you know. Maybe or the team talked to King and said, okay, King, you can help us bringing these heroes in the XP. Or maybe King told them, okay, I can play with these heroes and I can do something more, you know. So it's a thing that we can talk about. But bringing these heroes yesterday, that when he brought, and I was talking to some content creators, they didn't like, okay, we didn't enjoy like bringing in Claude in XP for a DreamMax. So I don't know, maybe they talked about it private and said, okay, maybe today is not a good idea. It's not so interesting to bring something like so out of the box to the XP lane.
Well, and I wonder if that was more out of the box or that they saw something in the draft that kind of countered out the Suyo, and King could have offered up, hey, I can play Suyo in the XP lane, we can change it out. Because like I said, I feel like if it was a pre-thought out thing, it feels to me like we kind of wasted what Suyo can bring to a game when he's fed, when he's early, when he's making those rotations. He just becomes a monster rather than just having him in the XP lane where he's really managed down to one lane of farm that he can get, maybe some kills if he's able to rotate a little bit early, and you really kind of squander out what Suyo can bring to your team. I want to say very interesting for a first draft coming out from Infinity. Already got the Kagura and the CC picks out there.
Yeah, that is very interesting. CC is like a gradual damage, so but I don't even know. It will be Glue, but will he be picked as the EXP laner here? Or the roamer?
We're about to know. Because
yeah,
there's
like,
a possibility, you know, like this.
Because I don't know if CC will do well against that, but
my biggest complaints about the draft coming from Infinity would have been that Kufra goes in with the Tyrant's Revenge, that rubber band ability to try to get to Valentina, and we don't have an ability to catch up to her. Here with Kagura, with CC, we still have a follow-up for Kufra to kind of get to that access to that back line. So it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah. That is really going to be very, very interesting here in the first game here. Both the two compositions are finished, and it's a funny thing here from DreamMax because King brought the Sora, and we know there's a natural counter that is a Valentina, but in this time it was brought by Kite here in the mid lane. On the other hand, we are seeing once again Lionel bringing this Kagura with a very high potential of burst damage, especially with the magical one. We are seeing Boxia in the jungler for ZZ's hand. You know, like both compositions are very strong. You know, because even though we're seeing a Kufra, which is not so usually here in the meta or being used in the MCT AMER South, and I believe Kufra, especially with the hard engage, you know, with the Tyrant's ultimate here, that can be can create some breaches in this DreamMax composition here to focus in a target like Valentina or Moscow, for example, despite they have some dashes and despite they have some ability here to escape, you know. But for Kufra, if he combines with a Flicker, for example, that is getting more difficult for DreamMax's.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting here, ladies and gentlemen. Our Soul 5, best of 5 series coming to decide a 4th and 5th seed. Infinity taking on DreamMax, and I already have a little bit of a war here fighting over the Little Wanderer. A big pop-up by Blink, who's going to be able to just eke his way away. Little Wanderer going over to the hands of Infinity.
All right, please, guys, let us start the game so probably hear me in private. The guys are fighting up in the jungler. But now, oops, Fanboy, once again, 2v1, private.
Yeah, Chick had a little bit of trouble, but I mean, if one person I can trust on a team to understand their power scaling and what they need to do to get out of harm's way, it's Kite, who has done a phenomenal job in the mid lane, even when DreamMax is kind of on the ropes and not having the most favorable games. It always seems like Kite is playing almost on a separate game where she's not taking a lot of deaths. She's constantly doing the best that she can to kite. We did see her have a little bit of trouble yesterday, though, when it came going up against Boxia. I think in their first game, she got caught a couple of times. That actually took her down. So we're gonna see if she has any new moves in there, especially because once you get caught by Fanboy, it's gonna be very rough for you to try to escape. You do see that we have 2 Purifies on both of our squishier heroes on the DreamMax side, as Infinity gonna go ahead, clean up this turtle without contention.
Yeah, we can talk about like this powerful trinity here coming from Infinity with Kagura, Boxer, and Kufra. You know, the first, oops, Zablax. All right, okay.
Yeah, it took a little bit of damage there.
Okay. So because in the first minute we saw like they fighting, playing aggressive, and then we saw like they are forcing Blink to use the flicker. And then it became a breach, an opportunity for Infinity to guarantee a turtle. And now on the top side, the 2v1 versus King. Once again, King being trouble, but he's able to survive. You know, so the turtle guaranteed by Infinity, especially for this powerful Trinity coming from Infinity Sports.
Yeah, see, King actually takes a decent amount of damage. Rusi's doing a great job of swallowing up all of these minions and refusing their farm. Speaking of which, Shakeout in trouble. ZZ misses the jump, but Fanboy is right there to collect. And unfortunate for DreamMax, unable to reply. So that's going to be a first blood going over to Infinity.
And you know what? Could be worse for DreamMax because the kill went for Fanboy. It didn't go to Leonel, for example, or ZZ. That could be better. But now here we're seeing a dive. No, Fanboy here decided to move away. But now here's the first 1-0 so far for Infinity. We're seeing in the top side, as you said, King has some struggling with Rusi, with CC. But now we have this Trinity so far, once again, playing aggressive for Infinity to trying to neutralize, especially Takeite that we were talking about here in the first minute, that she is able to read the map, to read the situation, to get this outscape.
Ooh, we do have 3 members here. A great job up at the top 2. Rusi doing a good job to kind of starve out King on. It means we're not going to have, we're going to be a little less farm when it comes to this Asura pickup. Doing a great job of keeping those minions on his side. Now, a little bit of a rotation. Shakeout coming out. Fanboy tuning up the bands. Looking for it. Goes in, does go a little bit wide to hit King. Now, chasing down Shakeout is ZZ on the back end. Turtle has been reset. Blink is out, does have that split up there, and he's getting chunked down to the ground as well. Tortoise Pusins is out as well. Blink looking for a different position. Tyrant's Rage connects onto the back end, onto King, who has to find himself an escape, but Rusi chases him down, allowing Infinity the availableness they needed to get the turtle and another kill as well. 2 down for the side of DreamMax, 1 down for Infinity.
Once again, Infinity's playstyle here, forcing Blink to use the flick to survive, not for engage, not to initiate something. It is to survive, it is to escape, and now giving them the opportunity to guarantee another turtle. More than that, 3 kills for Infinity, 1 kill for Rusi, 1 kill for ZZ, and 1 from Fanboy. Okay, but now Zablox.
Oh, yeah, underneath the tower. He's going to get nailed in, but coming in from the side, ZZ might be able to catch King. No, he goes up at the top for Kumera, but he's got 4 members of DreamMax on his heels looking to take him down. Unfortunately, Blink not able to get the CC onto that target, but let alone up at the top, we're going to see a lot of damage going up onto that tower. Rusi's going to go ahead and put pressure up there. Net by jump style, looking for some type of defense up there. Shakeite almost gets taken out here at the mid lane as well.
We have the Heart Yo-Yos coming from Rusi in the top side, and we have a Heart Umbrella coming from Lionel in the mid lane here with this Kagura. Oh my goodness, Infinity here is so aggressive, a playstyle in the early game. The gold lead here heading for the 2k for Infinity, 2 turtles, the mid lane tower. Private, check it out, it's almost taken down. Infinity here dominating the pace, taking the actions. The first tower, but now here comes the initiation.
Yeah, with a split out there as well. Blink in trouble here, taking a hit of damage. ZZ's going to be able to finish the job as the block. Ooh, takes a SOD. We're still waiting. I think he thought twice. Kamara thought twice about coming in on that SOD. Did not want any of that smoke coming out. 4-2 right now for Infinity, who have taken this early game to their opponent's heels. Just a sneeze of health left on that mid tower. A big engagement coming here. Kamara in a little bit of trouble here. Fanboy coming in with that bouncing, trying to get onto jump style as they chased out Kamara. That's gonna be another kill. 2 kills as Chakai getting chased out underneath the tower. Do we dare, Rusi? No, they're gonna go ahead, clean up some of these minions. A 7-2 lead for Infinity.
I thought that it would chase Chakai on the bush here, but she was able to head back in the base. But now, once again, 7 kills for Infinity, and now another turtle. I don't think there's going to be a fight back here for DreamMax because they are so behind, especially in the goal lead here. So another very important goal for Infinity. All the 3 totals for Infinity Esports, and they're still dominating the map here. They're still dominating the pace. They took down the tower in the top side, in the mid lane. There's always Infinity here playing aggressive for all the time.
Yeah, and I mean, I was a little questionable if the Kufra pick was going to work. We still are. Oh my God, Gemstyle actually it does allure ZZ into the middle of 3 members of DreamMax. But as I was saying, I was a little questionable about whether the Kufra was going to be able to work here. But this composition definitely supports it. You've got this immense amount of burst damage, so that every single time Kufra lands a jump, you've got all of this damage coming in. Ooh, we have a big flicker there coming in with those shifting skies as well. Fanboy gets a lot of damage onto him. Here comes the cavalry from Infinity on the back end. A big Tyrant's Rage lands on the jump style, who goes down 8-2 right now. DreamMax have to look to the safety of their tier 2 mid tower.
There was a questionable engage here for DreamMax because they didn't have the tower number 1 here in the first tower in the mid lane. So it was obviously that the count back here, the response back for Infinity will come for the mid lane here, and they didn't have they weren't, I'm sorry, afraid to respond that, to engage with Kufra especially. And once again, DreamMax trying to do something, it didn't work, and Infinity here responded very well. But now the focus is the tower number 2 here in the top side. That is going to be a down more advantage for Infinity.
Yeah, and one thing too that I didn't even notice until now that we're getting into it, if you're looking at the Valentina pickup for DreamMax, Infinity, if you look at the ultimates that they provide her, there's really not much that the Valentina can go off of. She can grab maybe the Tortoise Puissance, maybe she can grab the ultimate, the Tyrant's Rage from the Kufra, but there's nothing really, like, I feel like that flips this game on its side that she's able to take from them, which is like just a great draft coming out from Infinity. Not just that, but I feel like they are just getting their value out of this Kufra pick.
Wow. I kept, like, they're doing an amazing job over here, starting with 8-2 by the 8-minute mark, already taking all the objectives and making DreamMax, you know, get a run for their money here already, starting out the first match.
We're seeing here DreamMax a situation. It's not so unusual for DreamMax, especially for Blink, who likes to play forward, to play aggressive here. But with Glue, we saw at least twice that he was using the flick to escape, using the flick to survive, not to get initiation for a DreamMax here. So we're seeing Infinity dominating so far for the very first minute here. So getting the three turtles, getting the first line of the towers, and now the second one in the top lane here. So with Kufra, that is fit so well here in that composition because of the following damage coming from the burst from Kagura, or even from Rusi with the CC, for example, in the XP lane. It is being very interesting. And one thing that I was realizing here, that they knew how to, especially they knew what they have to do. They know what they have to do, especially to neutralize a Kite powerful here. So Kite is not be able to do much here in this game. Okay, she has a Valentina, she has the ability to copy some ultimate here, but okay, if she copies Kufra's ultimate, what she can do, what the rest of the team can do here. With Suyo, it's weak, it's still weak. Moskov, it is still weak, needs some items here to get this damage situation, you know. So the clock is ticking against DreamMax here, and Infinity knows that and always playing forward, always playing aggressive here. And now the first Lord is on the river in the upper side immediately. Private is started by Infinity.
Yeah, and to add to that too, I feel like the biggest targets on DreamMax's side were going to be Kite and Blink, with how aggressive that they've been here. We do have an SOD. He dares not come in. Just gonna give his team a little bit of vision there, let him know what's going on there. But like the biggest targets have been Kite, have been this Glue as well, and this is just the perfect draft to deal with it. If Fanboy comes in, whether she gets whether Fanboy gets Kite fight whether Fanboy gets Blink. If you get Blink, then you're gonna have the Tyrant's Rage coming in. You're gonna have ZZ coming in on the Boxio, all that anti-heal, all of that burst damage coming in from the Kagura. Blink can't even sustain it because it's so much AoE. It's gonna be able to whittle down his little minions as well. I just feel like this is just a great draft coming out from Infinity, and it shows here. There's very little that DreamMax is able to do against it. Lord at top, and now starting to mount an offense to the bottom and mid lane is Infinity.
They're only now the second tower here in the mid lane is standing for DreamMax. Oops, Zablox. You have to take care. Initiations over Zablox here. No,
yeah, they actually went deep into on the Zablox, who went a little too far forward. Fanboy on the side there. We do see that glue kind of latching on to ZZ, but he activates that Tortoise Puissance immediately. Zablox is going to be taken down a bit here. I feel like this gives DreamMax a little bit of breathing room to come and so you don't lose any more towers, possibly this mid one, but a decent defense put up by DreamMax.
Yeah, it gives a hope for DreamMax here, but I don't think that that will be a big hope. Okay, let's see. In the mid lane here, that's a possible situation.
Oh yeah, they came from all different directions, but Fanboy is a thick and tanky boy, so he was able to withstand it. And I agree with you. I as much as it's not going to turn the tables in the favor of DreamMax just yet, but it gives them at least a little bit of breathing room for this first defense on their side, where they don't have to worry about the Lord crashing in. They don't have to worry about possibly losing some high ground towers and the threat of those overpowered minions coming through those lanes.
Yeah, I agree with you here. So even though that DreamMax got that kill, so there was no Lord, there was no some opportunity for them. Even the minion waves were so hard for Infinity Demon, but now here comes.
Ooh, yeah, big engagement coming in here. Fanboy getting stuck on by all members as King gets blown up. Jump style able to return the favor to Fanboy. Blink in trouble. Zabloch is throwing meteors at a DreamMax right now. I can't even remember if we were able to see, did he have the Trinity build already? Ooh, ZZ coming in from the backside. He's going to zone out the rest of a DreamMax as we are left to only the high ground tower. ZZ sees a little bit up at the top, but he is not going to be able to catch jump style.
Yeah. He didn't went to the bush to trying to find jump style heading back in the base, so it was okay for a jump style, but it is not okay for a DreamMax so far here, Private, because only the high ground now for a DreamMax. You know, after 13 minutes here in the game, the goal lead here heading for a 6k, basically another Lord, but now we're seeing a jump style over Rusi. Oh my goodness, Rusi was able to survive, and it was enough to Infinity guarantee another Lord.
Yeah, and a little bit of a push down at the bottom. So DreamMax is trying to kind of create pressure around here. They know that these objectives are not going to be able to go into their hands. They're too far behind. I think we're looking at about a 4-5k gold lead for the side of Infinity. So at least Chimera is doing his job. He's trying to get those split pushes in, especially as a Moskov. That is where you shine, which is trying to create this pressure up at those side lanes. Hopefully, if your team is able to come up and get a good fight in their hands, or maybe create some type of pressure, you can come in with that spear of destruction, but no need for it just yet. Another Lord looming up at the top lane for Infinity.
ZZ, okay, he was in the front line here, just getting some info. Now here comes Fanboy. Oh no, just a bait here, but now here comes.
Ooh, Chakai takes 50% damage just from one hit coming out there. Now, pressure mounting at the mid and a bottom lane. Top lane being taken by the Lord, as the rest of a DreamMax is going to need to answer. You start seeing the minions coming in here as this Lord's going to touch in at the top. We're going to see the pressure mount at mid and a bottom. Oh, we have, Tyrant's Revenge just goes wide, and the top, and the Lord makes short work of the top lane and the mid. Rusi able to take down Blink. That's going to be 4 members left for DreamMax as we continue on the pressure. Another one down for the side of DreamMax, and look at Chimera laying all the damage, but immediately Fanboy closes the distance on him, and that is another DreamMax member down. Infinity looking to close this game up, but they have no minions. Mid lane's about to come in here. It's up to Jump Style and Kite alone to try to fend off this. You see the auto attacks going on to it, ladies and gentlemen. Game 1 going to Infinity.
Infinity Esports here goes for the first victory. And my question is, guys, is Fanboy roaming or AD carry?
Fanboy is killing it on that roam. He is doing an amazing job with all the roams that he has chosen. I love watching him there on the stage. They did an amazing job here. They were showing their power and how strong Baxia could be, right? I am wrong about the CC. CC did come in clutch and she was helping them a lot, so...
Well, she was one of those other ones that added on to the Kagura pickup that helped out with the Kufra. Kufra goes in, gets the initiation, and you have 2 targets, the CC and the Kagura, who have access to the back line, who can chase with Kufra. So Kufra's not there by himself. So they're able to bring on that damage. And this brings up an interesting concept for me because I talked a little bit about it yesterday. The meta. You have a reason to respect the meta, to understand the meta, and I feel like sometimes teams, they go outside the box just for the thrill of saying, we're not using the meta, we're going outside the box. And I feel like sometimes that doesn't pay enough respect as to why certain heroes are strong, why certain heroes do well here. I don't think that's an issue for Infinity when they kind of go outside the box. Their entire composition is fit so that the Kufra would be able to shine, so that when he goes in to get those Tyrant's Revenge, to get those Tyrant's Rages, the rest of the team was right there to be able to back him up. This absolutely flipped the Kite pick, that Valentina pick, over on its side. It absolutely flipped the Glue pick over on its side. And those are 2 huge contenders to disable right from the beginning of this match.
Yeah, and then it comes the old and classic say, like, we don't follow the meta, we make the meta. From all the, we don't follow right from all the regions, for example. But now we see Infinity dominating for the very first minute here, as we saw. We're seeing now with Rusi with 62% of team participation. Fanboy 318. 85% here. I'm not a psychic. I can't read the future. I have a feeling who's going to be the MVP of the first game here. But jokes aside, we're seeing the highlights here that we saw Infinity every time. There was a situation here that I talked to Private during the game that twice or 3 times we're seeing Blink using the flick not to initiate, not to be the in-gate situation, but only to survive, only to escape. And when we see something like that, we can feel and we can talk that something is wrong. You know, something is not like nothing into according to the plan. So DreamMax here falls some struggling versus Infinity, especially because of that situation. Because we're seeing, okay, Glue is a very strong pick, maybe from the XP lane of the roaming, not so many, because this crowd control is not. It's not that one, you know, it's not the hard engage, it's not the crowd control, you know. It has some situations that can work with a Glue. Now we're all seeing here Fanboy with the Tyrant's Fury plus the Tyrant's Wrath, you know, so always guarantee this advantage to Infinity in the first game. So when it comes to the burst damage falling up from Lionel, for example, and ZZ plays so comfortable with a Boxer that we all know that is very strong in the meta here. So Infinity taking advantage of that situation too. So they had the tools, they didn't have the ingredients, you know, to make this recipe for the first victory here to Infinity Esports.
It's kind of funny to me because as we were looking at this, Rusi from the XP lane, Lionel from the mid, and Fanboy just had the highest team engagements while everybody else was still farming there as well.
Yes, and they found the opening, they capitalized instantly and never let go. Your MVP is Fanboy. We
nailed it.
We totally didn't know this, but 318 KDA, 20.5k total damage, and 583 gold per minute. Fanboy was a terror out there for the side of DreamMax.
Yeah, I was thinking here. I was about to talk to the production if the MVP goes to another player. To be honest, no, I'm just kidding about that. But Fanboy deserved it so much, you know, because not only for like the KDA, but also for all the opportunities and all the breaches that he found in that in this game with Kufra. And even more than that, because he answered our questions from the beginning that we were talking about, like, oh, okay, how is Kufra is going to work in that composition, in that idea of execution. So he showed us how to work with that Kufra. So it's another satisfying